Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. I recently posted both my morning and nighttime skincare routines, and while I was reading through the comments on those videos, I saw 3 themes emerge that I felt the need to address immediately. In case you did not watch those videos or look through the comments, I'll quickly explain what those things were so that you know why I'm filming this video and why it felt so urgent to me. First is how to mix copper peptides with other ingredients within the same skincare routine. In my morning skincare routine, I told you guys that I was using my IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Breakout Serum, which was a salicylic and lactic acid serum at the same time, well, I mean not mixed together, but in the same routine before using my ordinary copper peptide serum. I saw a lot of comments / questions regarding the use of those two products together and just in general copper peptides with other ingredients like other acids, retinoids, and vitamin C. So I decided to reach out to The Ordinary directly and had them actually reach out to their chemist directly to get a definitive answer on what we should and should not mix with copper peptides. Second is mixing hypochlorous acid with other skincare ingredients. That is also something that I saw just confusion around, and whether or not hypochlorous acid does kind of cancel out certain ingredients, if it's something you can use with everything. And I believe I saw a comment pointing to a video from Dr. Lee where they talk about hypochlorous acid, so I went and watched that. And I personally was having a really hard time finding any sort of paper or journal or research published talking about the use of hypochlorous acid with other skincare ingredients. So I reached out to Dr. Luke from Dr. Lee directly, and he gave me some information that I'll share with you guys in this video. And last but certainly not least is the use of lash growth serums. I told you guys that I had recently started introducing or reintroducing lash growth serums into my morning and nighttime skincare routines. I used to use Rapid Lash years and years ago back in college, and then I don't remember how long I continued to use them after, but stopped at one point and decided to start using them again. And I saw several concerned comments about the use of not only that product, but many popular lash growth serums in general. So I decided to do some of my own research on that and wanted to share my updated thoughts on why that is not something that I'm going to continue to do. So it may feel like we have some random topics all kind of glommed together in one video here, but the main purpose of this really is to give you as quick of an update as possible after posting those routines, since I literally just posted them and I already have changes. And I did let you guys know over on my community tab that this video was in the works because, like I said in that post, the thought of you guys using skincare products that potentially aren't going to give you the best results, or at worst, going to give you some sort of adverse effect, literally makes me sick. Like, that's the sort of thing that keeps me up at night. The last thing I would ever want is to give you a recommendation that is actually not a good one. So thank you so much to those of you that brought up these topics in the comment sections on those videos. I had to take action immediately and let you guys know where I stand with these things, because that's just how I roll here. All right, let's jump into it. Okay, let's start off with copper peptides. So I first posted my review on The Ordinary's Buffet Plus Copper Peptides last winter when I had just moved to Chicago, so like a year and a half ago now. And at that time, I feel like copper peptides were definitely still very under the radar in terms of ingredients that are heavily talked about on social media. So because of that, I feel like there wasn't a lot of information available on how to best utilize that product, but The Ordinary did have a call out on their website. And that said that previously they didn't have any contraindication listed for the use of direct acids / vitamin C with any of their peptide products. However, because they now have a larger arsenal of products with those peptide ingredients, and some of those formulations are more susceptible to hydrolysis with certain types of vitamin C or acids, they have developed this, updated guideline, or they had, because this is actually no longer on their website. They then went on to say that instead of developing a complex guide listing the compatibility of each of their peptides with each acid and vitamin C, they have adapted the following approach to maximize efficacy for the maximum number of people. And that approach stated that it is best not to use peptides in the same routine as the following products: direct acids, L-ascorbic acid, ethylated ascorbic acid, and strong antioxidants. So that is why at that time I decided to discontinue use of vitamin C and replace my vitamin C serum with this copper peptide serum. And because that was the approach I decided to take, I didn't really feel confused about how to move on or proceed with the rest of my skincare routine, because I would just use tretinoin at night. I'd stop using vitamin C. It felt pretty straightforward to me. But as time went on, I saw so many questions and comments on my videos asking about how to use copper peptides with other ingredients. What about if we don't want to discontinue use of vitamin C? How would we use those together? Is it something that's really going to irritate our skin and be harmful? Is it for sure going to cancel out those active ingredients? Like, what is actually the deal here? Because I think a lot of people felt that that statement from The Ordinary was just a bit vague. And I know a lot of people felt that this statement was just them kind of trying to play it safe with all of their products to make sure that they covered their ground here, and in the event that people used products with those ingredients and they didn't play well together, they couldn't really be at fault. And it wasn't just on my videos that I was seeing comments about mixing copper peptides with other ingredients. I started to see this as a really common theme across social media as the popularity of copper peptides rose. And in seeing all of those questions on social media, I was starting to see responses, and a lot of those responses were saying mixed things. Some of those responses stated that copper peptides would essentially cancel out, for lack of a better word, all of the ingredients that The Ordinary listed there. Whereas other responses were saying that this is just a precaution because those ingredients, when used together, can cause increased irritation. But if you don't have irritation, then you can use them together. So people continue to get more and more confused. So when I decided to introduce the It Cosmetics Bye Bye Breakout Serum into my routine because of the texture that I was experiencing, I decided to just test out using them together and see how my skin would respond. I had absolutely no issue in doing those things. I didn't have any irritation. I didn't see my good results from using those products go away. Everything seemed to be going fine, so I was like, all right, well, I guess it works for me. And it wasn't until reading through the comments on that morning skincare routine that I was made aware of the fact that The Ordinary had actually updated their guidance on their website. And when you looked at the product description for the copper peptide serum, it said something completely different than when I had first filmed that video a year and a half ago. So that original statement is no longer there. Now there is a separate tab that says usage details, and it explicitly says do not use with direct acids. And then if you click on direct acids, it will give you examples of their products that contain those ingredients: glycolic acid, salicylic acid, lactic acid, mandelic acid, etc. Direct vitamin C, EUK, retinoids, strong antioxidants, resveratrol and ferulic acid, and salicylic acid. So when I read that, I was like, oh my God, what have I done? Like, again, I cannot stand thinking that I have given you guys bad advice. It makes me ill. So I reached out to The Ordinary directly. Thankfully, I do have a contact there. And their initial response was that these contraindications are with ingredients that may either increase the possibility of skin sensitivity when used together or potentially reduce the efficacy of the serum. If you have been using the product in combination with any of these ingredients to good results, you may continue to do so. So then I was like, okay, that's like exactly back to where I was initially, where I decided to test them out together. I had no issues, so I was going to keep using them. But thankfully, he very kindly offered to reach out to his chemist team to kind of clarify exactly what I had asked in more detail, and this is the response that I got. Multi-peptide plus copper peptides 1% should not be used in the same regimen as direct acids, direct and ethylated vitamin C, and the ordinary resveratrol plus ferulic acid. This is because the acidic nature of these formulas can lead to the denaturation of the peptide technologies in this product. We also advise exercising caution when combining this product with retinoids, as both retinoids and copper peptides have the capacity to support the skin's natural exfoliating mechanism. Combining both ingredients into one regimen may increase the chances of overexfoliation. If you wish to combine both products into a regimen, we may recommend using them on alternate days and or nights. So that was a little bit different in that it says not to use this product with basically everything that is not tretinoin, retinol, a form of a retinoid, because of the potential denaturation of the products. But that would not happen if you were to use copper peptides with retinoids. It's just that using them together could irritate your skin. So in reading that, I was like, well, this changes everything. However, However, this is such a nuanced topic. Fee the Golden Skin, which is the handle for another beauty creator over on Instagram, sent me this post by a cosmetic chemist whose handle is Kind of Steven. She said this is a good post that Steven did on copper peptides, and I think it's important that we listen to this.
Let's address the first question. Can copper tripeptides be used with exfoliating acids? So there's actually a stability study that was done by researchers, and they stored the copper tripeptide with the copper in solutions of hydrogen peroxide, sodium hydroxide, hydrochloric acid, and phosphate buffers. They held these solutions for 24 hours at a temperature of 60 degrees, except for the sodium hydroxide solution that was held at 22 degrees, and there wasn't too much breakdown. And this is a pretty acidic solution. A hydrochloric acid solution at 0.5 molar concentration is about pH 0.3. So I think it's okay to use them together with exfoliating acids because generally they're not going to be as strong as this solution and our skin isn't 60 degrees. And just to be clear, we're talking Celsius, not Fahrenheit. As well, our skin is a buffering system, which means it tends to return to its normal pH, a slightly acidic pH over time. And that can happen relatively quickly depending on what you throw at it. So what about copper tripeptides and ascorbic acid or vitamin C? From the things that I read, I never found anything that provided any citations, but I think what happened is that there was a misinterpretation of papers like these, which combined the keywords copper tripeptide and ascorbic acid. But if you look at the conditions, they're also using another ingredient here, which is hydrogen peroxide, and that led to the degradation of the copper tripeptide. So I don't think this is really relevant to the way that we're using it on the skin. Okay, what else? Well, we know that metal ions like copper ions can break down ascorbic acid. So maybe this thing is actually in reverse. You don't want to use copper tripeptides with the copper complex because it'll break down your ascorbic acid. But there's also something you need to understand, which is that molecules take up space. And for molecules to interact in chemical reactions, they also need physical access to each other to do so. When we look at the copper, when it's complexed into the copper tripeptide, it's actually quite bound and sort of buried away. So the copper isn't the same thing as free copper ion. And there's actually scientific evidence to show that the oxidation effect of the copper ion is silenced when it's in a copper tripeptide. So a solution of copper ions where they're bound to copper tripeptide are not going to act the same way as a solution of copper ions. At least from my perspective, there's no strong evidence suggesting that you can't use copper tripeptides even with the copper and ascorbic acid or vitamin C. So what about the last one? Copper tripeptides and retinoids, things like retinol and tretinoin. I think there's some of the same misunderstanding when it comes to oxidation of retinoids. So again, copper tripeptides bound to copper are not the same thing as a free copper ion solution. Again, I couldn't find any strong scientific evidence to suggest that these two things couldn't be used together. I think there's possibly a concern for irritation, but that doesn't mean that one of the molecules or compounds are being degraded.
Can we all just take a moment to bow down to Steven? Please pause this video and make sure to go follow him on Instagram. I think it is so helpful to follow people that work in this space and have specific education in this space. Cosmetic formulators are going to be the ultimate the ultimate source of wisdom and truth when it comes to mixing ingredients or products together, because that's quite literally what they do for a living, and that's quite literally what they have studied and trained to do for a living. Dang! I hear things like that and I'm like, what is your brain like? Like, just the level of knowledge about these really complex topics is incredible. So again, please go follow him. Shout out to him for creating this post. I think it's amazing. I, of course, will have it linked along with his handle in the description box of this video. Creds to him. So that, of course, is not to say that The Ordinary has not done some sort of in-house testing utilizing their products with some of these ingredients that they talked about. I'm not trying to suggest that their chemists are, wrong and that you shouldn't listen to what they say. I just think it's really helpful to hear Steven's perspective, who is a cosmetic chemist not working for The Ordinary and not trying to sell a product, and kind of his analytical approach to synthesizing all of the data and the evidence that exists, and how he doesn't actually think there's anything out there that really proves this argument that you shouldn't be mixing these ingredients because they'll break down or cancel each other out. I have to say that I selfishly felt a little bit better after watching his video because I was like, okay, clearly there still, even at the cosmetic chemist level, is conflicting information out there, or conflicting guidance, if you will. So it's not like there's just one clear answer sitting out there that we all missed. It's that there's not enough data or evidence out there for us to clearly prove these things, and there's a lot of information that has been misinterpreted. So with all of that being said, I think the best thing that you can do here is do what works best for you, do what works best for your routine, and do what works best for your skin and whatever doesn't cause irritation. For me personally, because I read the fact that retinoids and copper peptides do actually play well together if they don't irritate your skin, I saw this as an opportunity to actually reintroduce vitamin C into my skincare routine by shifting around when I use copper peptides. And I, of course, am going to update you guys on the exact steps of my skincare routine now. I will walk through that at the end of this video, but really quickly, I want to touch on these two other topics before I do that. Next is hypochlorous acid, and this is the same kind of debate as with copper peptides, where I have seen comments saying that hypochlorous acid actually will cancel out any other antioxidants that you use with it. I even saw one comment saying that because hypochlorous acid is so alkaline, it will neutralize and in effect cancel out anything that is acidic, like a vitamin C serum or a copper peptide serum. But the idea that hypochlorous acid sprays are too alkaline to play well with other skincare ingredients is actually not true. So just to use one product as an example, because I know it's a really popular product, the Tower 28 SOS Rescue Spray, which contains hypochlorous acid, has a pH of 4.5. I think the reason why that sentiment, that like rumor, if you will, even though I wouldn't call that a rumor, that's a bit extreme, but the reason why people started to think that is because hypochlorous acid is also used in cleaning products and things of that nature, and when they are formulated in that way, they're obviously going to be very different than when they're formulated for our skin, and in cleaning products, they likely do have a very high pH, at least much higher than 4.5 and things that we would put on our skin. And because hypochlorous acid is used in cleaning products, I was having a really hard time finding information myself on mixing it with other skincare products. Whenever I typed in hypochlorous acid and was trying to dig through research, the cleaning thing came up a lot, and also the use of this ingredient for things like the vid. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that full word still. I know for a long time YouTube was demonetizing videos that said that out. So just to make sure that doesn't happen, I'll say the vid. So like I mentioned in the intro, I saw a comment that referenced this video from Dr. Lee where they talk about hypochlorous acid, and I saw what this person was referring to, so I thought I would play it here in this video.
What scenarios you would not want to use? What are the downfalls of this ingredient? Right, so because this actually works through creating oxidative stress, when you're using antioxidants, it's going to undo all of this. So this does not pair with your vitamin C's or your many other plant-based antioxidants. Not like you can't use them throughout the day, but you need to use the antioxidants in the morning and then space it out tremendously.
It's literally going to inactivate your vitamin C product. So you're literally going to be combating each other if you use these two ingredients together. But otherwise, it's pretty safe.
So I reached out to Dr. Luke directly and asked if he could send me the studies that he was referring to in that video. And he said that a part of this is just physiology theory from how hypochlorous acid works and how it's formed in the body and how the antioxidant system works. He then goes on to say that while there may not be any direct studies with topical skincare and hypochlorous acid versus antioxidants competing roles, there are some studies showing this antagonistic relationship within the body. Again, I selfishly felt a little bit better because he was saying like, yeah, there's not really any good information out there from a skincare perspective. However, there are studies / journals that talk about how hypochlorous acid actually works. I'm sorry, I feel like I have a bubble in my throat. What is going on? And I found those journals to be incredibly interesting to read. I will have them linked below. The title of one of them is quite literally Hypochlorous Acid Decreases Antioxidant Power. I did run over to Kind of Steven's Instagram again to see if he had any posts on hypochlorous acid, and he actually does, but it is more so in response to the original scare tactics, fear mongering about this ingredient and how people were saying it's like putting bleach on your skin. That's also an interesting read, so I'll list that below as well. but there's nothing in this post that talks about mixing hypochlorous acid with other skincare ingredients, and I didn't see him respond to any comments asking that question either. So after taking all of this information into account, I decided that I'd rather just play it safe with this ingredient. The last thing I want to do is spray something on my face that like deactivates everything that I just put on before that. But like I've mentioned before, I feel that hypochlorous acid mist has made a big difference in my skin and how often I get breakouts. So instead of just deleting it completely, I decided to switch when I use that as well. Again, we're almost there. We just have one more topic to cover. But before I forget to say this, make sure to head over to Dr. Lee's YouTube channel and subscribe to them, even though I'm sure most of you already are. And also go follow Dr. Luke on Instagram. He posts great content. And thank you to Dr. Luke for the help on this topic. Obviously, it is greatly appreciated because I am certainly no cosmetic chemist or dermatologist. I just love skincare and hair care, and I'm trying to help you guys have the best routines ever. Last, lash growth serums. So again, I told you guys that I had decided to reintroduce lash growth serums into my skincare routines. And originally, I think I kind of just like slowly stopped using them less and less until I forgot. And at that point, I had stopped using them altogether. And then I think maybe I had like a little stint where I used them again for a tiny period of time, but I started to hear concerns about lash growth serums causing dry eye. So I decided to stop using them at that point because I've never had a huge issue with my lashes. I feel that I have naturally nice lashes with mascara on, that is. Without, you can't really see them, but with mascara on, they get nice and long. So I was like, it's fine, I don't need it. I'll just stop using it in case. Then about a month and a half ago, I got a lash lift and tint for the first time. And when you get a lash lift and tint, they usually recommend that you start using a lash growth serum so that your lashes can regrow as nicely as possible. And I was terrified that something bad was going to happen to them since I hadn't gotten a lift before, and I had heard some horror stories about people's lashes growing in crazy after. So I was like, that simply can't happen to me. I'll start using Rapid Lash again because that's a serum I used to use. I saw really great results with it. I never had any negative side effects when I was using it, and I did use it for years at one point. And I was like, I'll risk potentially getting dry eyes because I did not realize that dry eye is actually a serious medical condition. I thought that it just meant that you can get eyes that feel really dry and you may need medicated drops, but like that's the worst of it, which obviously is not a great thing. Like if I had to choose to have that or to not have that, I don't want to have that. But I was like, well, if that's the worst thing that's going to happen and I can have really, nice, long, beautiful lashes, I'll deal with it, we'll see. I was severely mistaken, and that is completely my fault. I did not research this at all. I was misinformed, to say the least. So I did some digging, and I wanted to show you examples of prostaglandin analog ingredients that you can look for in lash serums. And some popular products that contain prostaglandin analogs not only include Rapid Lash, which is the one that I used, that I talked about in my videos, but also Grande Lash, Latisse, and Revitalash. 3 lash growth serums that do not contain prostaglandin analogs are the Ordinary's Multi-Peptide Lash and Brow Serum, the Olaplex Lash Bond Building Serum, and Vegamore Grow Lash. So I would like to replace Rapid Lash with one of those. I did at one point use the Ordinary's Lash and Brow Growth Serum, but I am curious to test out these other two and see how my results compare to the results that I got with that. So I may switch to one of those. All right, let's wrap up with my updated morning and nighttime skincare routines. I am just going to walk through each step very briefly. I'm basically just going to say what the step is. I'm not going to talk about the products in detail. I'm not going to show you what they look like, how I use them in terms of like actual application on my face, or the list of ingredients in them that you should be aware of, because I already did all of those things in my, last 2 morning and nighttime skincare routine videos. So I'll list those below if you want more information on those products or you want to see me apply them to my face. But I have to update you guys, of course, so here's that update. Let's start with the morning routine. Again, I may or may not use red light therapy in this routine. I either use it in the morning or night, so just be aware of that. At some point during the day, I am using my red light therapy mask. Red light therapy aside, here are the steps. Salicylic acid cleanser, hydrating mist, lash and brow growth serum, galactomyces ferment filtrate essence. This is referring to the SK2 treatment essence I told you guys I wanted to test out because I had heard such amazing things, but I did see a couple of comments recommending alternative products for much more affordable prices that basically had the same amount of that ingredient. Those two products are the CosRx Galactomyces 95 Tone Balancing Essence and the Physicians Formula The Healthy Essence, no, the Essence of Healthy Toner. That is the weirdest name. I'll list those below. I would say if you're interested in this ingredient, definitely go for those. Don't splurge on the SK2 because what's the point? I would not have if I knew that those products existed. After that, salicylic acid serum, which is the It Cosmetics Bye Bye Breakout, so technically salicylic acid and lactic acid. Vitamin C serum, crazy, I know. I just purchased the Timeless Skincare Vitamin C plus E ferulic acid serum. That is what I used to use when I did use vitamin C. I think it's a great product. It contains 20% ascorbic acid. I don't know that it's what I will, be loyal to in terms of vitamin C moving forward, because I will do some research on other products that I may want to potentially test out. I also used to use the Dermatology vitamin C serum. That one's a 15% vitamin C. So I will also list that below, but for the meantime, both of those products are still great. I would highly recommend based on when I used to use them. Then the rest remains unchanged. Moisturizer, eye cream, or if my eye cream is lighter weight than my moisturizer, then I will flop the order of those two. But moisturizing in general, untinted sunscreen and tinted sunscreen. Then several hours later during midday is when I will spritz on my hypochlorous acid mist. Again, I still want to get that on my skin, but I don't want that to mess around with my other products. So that feels like the safest bet. So that's morning. Moving on to nighttime, here's the order for this routine. Makeup remover, cleanser, hydrating mist, lash and brow growth serum, galactomyces ferment filtrate essence. So all of that is still the same. Then this is the big update. I am shifting copper peptides from my morning routine to right here in my nighttime routine. After that, I am following up with my Dermatology needleless serum. And then again, the rest remains unchanged. Tretinoin via my Apostrophe prescription, eye cream, moisturizer, my microblading ointment, which I actually did start using as a cuticle ointment. Somebody from the Hustle Butter team actually reached out to me because I guess they had been a longtime viewer of my channel, which is so crazy, and just said that it makes for a really great cuticle ointment as well. And I was like, that is such a good idea. I am so upset about this. This is such a long story and nobody really cares, but I want to make sure that nobody thinks that the nail artist that I have recommended to you guys is the cause of this. She is absolutely amazing and is so careful to take care of your nails. This is my fault. She is really difficult to get into and books out very far in advance. So I had a couple of emergencies where I, broke a nail or something happened. So I had to make an appointment at another salon a couple different times to fix it because I needed my nails to look nice for, I don't know, maybe a video I was filming or something. And in going to those salons, they did not take good care of my nails and they just went right on my nails with the really rough electric files. And so because of that, my nails were super damaged, and even with the care that she was taking, once that damage is there, it's there and it has to just grow out. So my nails kept cracking really far down, and it just was getting to a point where I was like, I clearly need to just take a break and let my real nails grow out with nothing on them, even though they look hideous. So I certainly need to be using a cuticle ointment, and I feel like that is something that I always forget. I don't know why. So having it be the same product that I use on my eyebrows actually has really helped me to prioritize that. And then of course I wrap everything up with my CeraVe healing ointment for eye slugging. So, oh my gosh, that was a lot of information, but I feel like that was necessary so that I could fully explain to you my thought process behind why I switched things around and what I found and what I was not able to find. Again, I feel like, well, not when it comes to the eyelash serums, but for the other topics, they're so nuanced, they're really complex, and I am obviously not going to be the person who understands the ins and outs of cosmetic chemistry and product formulation. So it's important to me to try to seek out people that are more knowledgeable than me in those areas and are experts in those areas. I hope that you guys, appreciate me doing that. And I also hope that you go ahead and follow those people I recommended. I don't hope, I require, go do it. I just never want anyone to think that I'm claiming to be an expert in topics like that. That, again, is something that makes me feel ill. But otherwise, I think that's everything that I had to say for this video. So I really hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that you found it helpful, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. What updates are you potentially making to your routines after hearing this information? Are there other experts that have talked about it in a really helpful way that you think we should know about? If so, let us know. Otherwise, if you did enjoy the video and found it helpful, please don't forget to give this a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, click on that notification bell, and send my channel to a friend. Thank you so much for doing those things. Your support means the world. Thank you for watching my videos. I love the freaking heck out of you guys. Make sure to stay tuned for my next one because that will be up in a few days. But until then, I hope you have a great few days.